In some of my interviews, people would ask me, so you're Albanian, kind of like Italian? And I'd say, no, kind of like Albanian. My family was born and raised in Gjithçka, not far from Enver Hoxha, in the same mountain. So our families knew each other, and my grandfather wanted a better life, like a lot of Albanians. So he went to the United States and he opened up a restaurant, and he left my family back in Albania. And after a couple of years of being successful, he went back and he got my grandmother and my father, and he brought them to America. Later on, my uncle, and he went back again and got my father's younger brother and brought him also. And my mother's side was raised in Tirana. So all my family is basically still in Albania. My grandfather had 6 brothers. So all our families in Gjithçka, in Tirana, in Fiera, and Durrës. So I have a lot of family back there when I go back. When we were first there, my grandfather, they were raised in the Lower East Side, they call it. It was called the hub of the mafia. It's where you see the famous names of Lucky Luciano, you were here, and Vito Genovese, very, very famous mafia bosses. My father was raised with them in those sections, and my grandfather. Later on, we took our family, they lived in tenements. Nobody had money, it was very poor there. And they tried to move outside that neighborhood. And we were raised, and my family was raised in a very traditional Albanian family. They were all Muslim, my family's names were all Muslim. My father was Muhammad, my grandmother Fatima, my grandmother Sadefa. Unlike what a lot of people think, everybody only spoke Albanian in my house, and we all lived in one house. From the bottom floor, my aunt and uncle, in the middle, our family, on the top, my grandfather's sister and her kids. He raised them as his sons. The husband died very young, and next door and across were Albanians. But other than that, people didn't know who Albania was. Not like today. Today, Albanians became very successful around the world in every country. In some of my interviews, people would ask me, so you're Albanian, kind of like Italian? And I'd say, no, kind of like Albanian. You know, everybody knows I'm very patriotic towards our country, and my body says it, and the way I'll never forget our country. My grandfather made me promise as a kid. He put me on his lap, and he would have music with the chiftali. And when I was a young boy growing up, I was a good kid, but I come from a neighborhood where there was no money, so I was good, but I was also making a little things like as kids. You know, where you put the money in the meters for to park the car, we used to steal those. So you start slowly when you do things. And the people that lived in the houses, they used to watch us, and I learned, I says, wow, they don't care we're stealing this. And then one of the parents, the older guy, he explained to me, this is not how you steal it. We were going to run away. He was teaching us to steal it, because if we steal these things, it's better for the people that live there. They don't have to pay to park their cars. So I started to understand, wait a second, if you do something that's not personal, stealing from personal people, but from the government, it's okay. And slowly I started doing some little things like this as a young guy, but it was accepted. And when I started to see that it's not a straight line where you can make something, I started to understand, hey, some things is okay if it's criminal. When I first started the Gambino family, everybody talks about Gotti because this is the only name they know in the media. But actually, my life started as a little baby. My father's friends were Lucky Luciano's cousin, same name. Blackie Luciano, his real name's Charlie, that was his partner. And they used to have a nightclub and bar together, and they have a gambling den. And my mother's father was also a gambler and a gangster. And at a young age, he was in trouble for killing somebody. I was raised in this lifestyle from a baby with my father's friends. And then later on in the area where we grew up, the other boss of the mafia in the Gambino family was my friends. From baseball, I was athletic, and the sons played with me, and I was over that boss's house regularly. He was kind of like a grandfather to me, and his name was Ruggiano. So I was raised in the mafia through them and through some of my younger girlfriends' uncle and father, who also were gangsters in Lucchese family. But this is the locales that we lived was all mafia. And it was a different era. It was very accepted. So when I was raised with these people, it was very normal. Later on in life, I got involved with the Gotti family when some of these other guys went to prisons, and Gotti became the boss. So naturally, like anything else, you move with each boss. Now, I worked directly, personally with the Gotti, the father, and I worked with his guys. I became a guy that made money for the family, and I also became a guy that was asked to do a lot of violence for the family. I started very young with them, and once they started to ask me to do this kind of work, I also have my own organization of guys that work for me, but I work directly for him. They don't go see him, only I do, and they're separate. They make money with me in criminal activities, whatever it may be, but they answer to me only, and I answer to the boss. The problem is good and bad. Our Albanian culture is we don't like to lose, and we're a small country that's been fighting our whole history from hundreds of years ago, from the Ottoman days. So we have this unique ability to accept our circumstances, whether it's pain, whether it's getting hurt, or whether it's doing things to be successful that sometimes aren't good. And I had this mentality that no matter what, I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to work with this guy, and I'm going to continue to rise up and make money in the criminal world. And a lot of that is of lack of confidence in yourself, and I try to talk to kids about that. You know, if you have the ability to make money illegally, you definitely have the ability to make money legally. So I try to talk this way now. You see that? We hear that police siren just now. So we get used to that. That was a normal thing, that doesn't intimidate you. So when you start being very comfortable with this, and you don't have a problem with getting arrested or hearing that noise and stop you from what you're doing, you go to a different level of not caring how you get to be successful. What was unique about John? You know, because I wasn't a big guy, I was a small guy, and they said he was fearless. They would say that about sports with me, they would say that about fighting in the boxing ring, they would say that about me when I got stabbed or hit with a bat, or I was fearless. I didn't have a problem with being hurt, as long as if I get hurt, I can hurt one or two of you also. And this became natural to me. And so I was hurt a lot. People hear a lot of things about me that I hurt a lot of people, but I also got hurt. Because if you're going to be in this position, and you talk about people that were, it's a unique thing in a lot of men. You know, not that many men, like Skendo Bayo, that we all is a hero and I have him on my back, or guys that now, in the present, that I talk about a lot. People know I talk about Ramush, because he's a unique individual who's a hero, who was fearless. And this is not normal for a lot of people to put their lives in front and sacrifice their life for what they believe in. He believed in something that was pride of Kosovo. I believed in a bad thing, that I put my life in front. And as you get older, you understand the difference. There was very few Albanians when I was growing up. There was a very famous name, Lika, that was very known, big gangster. drug dealer, down in Rivington, Delancey Street, in that area. His nephew, Sadat Lika, was my friend since we're 5 years old. We went to school together. I didn't know who Sadat's uncle was, and me and Sadat would walk, and Sadat was a little chubby but tough. And we were kids, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and we had a problem with some other kids, and Sadat was very aggressive. And I smiled because I didn't realize this chubby guy is gonna fight. And then we started talking, and we went home to his father, and his father was a very hard-working guy, the opposite of his brother. And then I knew who the brother was because we had a conversation. And we're babies, though, you know, you really don't understand the extent of him being a gangster. So I did work with Albanian gangsters, but we were very small back then. There was hardly any Albanians. People didn't even know who they were. And they would talk, well, he's from Yugoslavia. He was too, because it was a different time period of sections of Albania. And other organizations I work with also, Irish. I work with a lot of black. I have a lot of black friends because the neighborhood I grew up with was a mixed. It was, on one side it was Irish, on the rich side it was Italian. They were very wealthy. Where I was from, it was Spanish and working class people and poor. And the neighborhood right next door was black, and I was athletic, so I played a lot of sports with a lot of black guys, and I became very friendly with them. So I never had the racist mentality. And we grew up in a racist time in the 60s and 70s. But this didn't affect me and my family. My father was very open person. No, I worked with a lot of organizations. My friend at one time was the president of the Hells Angels, biker, motorcycle, and as a kid, his sister was my girlfriend, and we dated, and so we were very friendly, and we would work together. Spanish organizations, we had different groups. The Crazy Homicides was another organization. The leader of that organization gang was also of a good friend because he dated the sister, I dated the little sister. And in the street, you start to know the good people and bad people, and good people that are bad. You know, even though they're a good person, they go the wrong way a little bit, and you know, we make alliances. In the street, you make alliances, especially when you're making money together. There's a lot of alliances. I work with the cartel, with Colombia cartel. I worked a little bit with the Mexican. And as you get older, you're doing business with different organizations. And unlike what people think, a lot of the American mafia, they never leave their neighborhoods. They don't really know the organizations like I do with Danish people and German people, because I travel the world, so we have friends everywhere. Iranian people. You'll see me here in Germany with a lot of Iranian guys that are friends of mine, and you'll see Kurds, and I don't have any, and I don't have a belief in being prejudiced or racist, so I always had my arms open to whoever was kind. You know, the funny thing is, I made a lot of money in every business. Loan sharking, drugs, robberies, extortion. And I owned a lot of my own businesses. I was very successful. I made millions. I owned $1 million estates where I personally lived. I owned buildings in Florida. I owned nightclubs that made $3-4 million a year. I owned places in Manhattan, and I was very successful. But the thing that I think got lost in most of this is, and I've said it before and maybe in smaller interviews, I was betrayed. I was an Albanian that worked with the Italian mafia, got betrayed by the Italian mafia. I never got caught on a video tape talking. I never got caught on an audio tape in my car, in my house, or bragging to somebody about. I never got caught on one tape. I never got caught with a gun, at a crime scene, at a robbery, at a murder, at a shooting. Never caught ever with anything. And when I was in prison in Brazil, the Italian mafia, 54 to maybe more that we know of, started giving information against me as an Albanian. And the reason they gave the information, for the people who don't understand, is they weren't able to control me anymore. They weren't able to kill me. They tried. And the way of killing me was to betray me. When I was sitting in a Brazil penitentiary with friends of mine from around the world, from Turkey, from UK, from Germany here, from Denmark, my friend that we're still friends. These guys all did interviews all over the world. While I was in Brazil penitentiary, the bosses from 2 crime families were all cooperating. They were wearing microphones against other members, and if people get the paperwork, they all testified and gave information that Johnny Alite, the Albanian, was the violent one. Johnny Alite is the one that's hurting everybody and shooting people and killing people and robbing people, and it's not us. We can't control him. This is their testimony. After 5 years of me sitting, 3 years in a penitentiary in Brazil, spending millions of dollars on lawyers, millions of dollars on investigators, and also lawyers for my family because they were being investigated by the FBI. And I've received the paperwork, not just the paperwork, but there was news articles all over America of all the bosses that were cooperating. And they used the word spy. It was in Albanian spia. They were spy against me and against some of my family members. Then I fired back at them 5 years later. It took me a lot of time because I was brainwashed in this life. As much as they were ratting me out or spying or meeting with the government and making excuses why they're meeting with the government, there is no excuse. When you're a gangster, you're not supposed to sit down and talk to the FBI. They were all working against me, trying to kill me with the FBI because they didn't have either the courage to kill me, or when they tried to kill me, they weren't successful, and then I killed them. And I'm very open about my past. I can't take that back. It wasn't a good life, and these are the reasons why I talk about that life is nothing but betrayal. There is nothing I'm saying that's a secret to the world. From Albert Anastasia, who was a very famous boss, he was a cooperator that worked with the FBI to give up his best friends with murdering. These guys, Lucky Luciano, also a very famous Italian boss, also was arrested selling heroin as a child, and he started cooperating with the police, and later on his excuse was, oh, I was only a kid at the time. So the double standard of the American is laughable, and for them to tell kids that they're good people and they don't rat and they don't betray their friends and this is an organization of loyalty is a lie. You have guys like Sammy Gravano that the whole world, and especially Albanians, don't know. 19 murders, and he shot a gun 1 time. I say it openly. I live in New York, and I say it, he's a coward. He's a liar, he's a coward, and this is the image that they're sending to people from our country and around the world, that these guys are good people and loyal to each other. It's a lie. And after they're finished cooperating and working with the FBI, they hide in other cities. They don't live in New York like I do. They don't stay in their neighborhood like I do. They're not one Albanian that was pushing around the Italian when there's thousands of them. I'm only one. Why am I still alive? Why didn't they kill me? What are they afraid of? But the way they killed me was this way. When they talked against me and I lost millions of dollars. I had a parking company, $17.6 million. I lost it. I had a nightclub, $4 million a year, I lost it. I had homes everywhere. I lose them all. And my thank you for being loyal to the Italian Mafia when I was sitting in a penitentiary in Brazil, and anybody that looks it up is a consequence concentration camp. It's not a regular jail. You get beat. You're in cells with 54, 55, 56, 50, 60 people for a cell for 12. You go to the bathroom in the floor. It rains inside. It's freezing inside. You'll have rats and mosquitoes. The air quality, you can't breathe. People from the breathing. And the murder rate is incredible inside those jails. And to survive there, I want to see these guys survive. And the people that were in jail with me know when I need to be, I'm very, and that was my past life. And I know everything that happened in my past life, I try to tell kids now, this is not the way to live. This is the physical part I'm telling you. The emotional part of losing your family, of losing your children like I did. I lost a child when I came home. And the sacrifice for the wrong people. Now my life's in a different direction for almost 15 years. My sacrifice is to help kids have the confidence not to do that stuff. I know they think it's exciting and cool, and I will lie too to tell you a lot of my life was not exciting. It was very exciting. But that excitement is not worth the pain and the loss of family and the almost 20 years they spend in jail. To be loyal to an organization can be loyal to themselves. Listen, I have a big faith in God. I never used to. I believe I'm alive because of God. I believe I have a purpose in this world because of God. And I believe the reason why they try to kill me and I've survived some of the attempts of murder of me is because God had a purpose for me. The purpose is what I do now. I work with kids. I work with organizations. I work with veterans, people that I respect, that risk their lives for the freedom of this country. I got involved in politics. And I travel around the world, and I think in Europe mentality, whether Albanian or other cultures, they understand really what happened to me. They understand the truth, not the fake stories that they come on. And they also understand I've challenged any mafia to sit in front of this camera with me and tell us what happened. Tell us why it's okay for you guys in the Italian mafia to betray, snitch, spy, or any word with no repercussions. Why do the rules change for you, but as an Albanian, the rules don't change for me. They don't exist. So it's okay for you to sell me out, put me in jail, blame me, and the Italians accept that. They don't kill one another, only when it's good for them. But that lesson, because as a young man I was brainwashed into that life, is the lesson that I talk about now. Our culture is Albanian, and we believe in loyalty, besa, family, and that's inbred in us. We might have bad tempers, a lot of Albanians, but we have big hearts, and we don't believe in betraying each other, and we don't accept that. And I'm not talking in a criminal world, I'm talking about in our family world, in our business world. We believe in open arms, the way when I come to Germany, and I have such a reception here from people around the world, but especially from Albanians. You come here to the Balkan Cafe, and they treat me like, you understand, as Albanians, they treat you like a king. Their door is open on a constant basis. They don't want anything from you. They don't want your money. They don't want no help. They just want to say the door's open, no different than the Albanians did during the Holocaust for the Jews. We're good people, and these are the qualities I try to tell the younger generation. I got involved with the Black Poster Project. It's for kids that passed away, were murdered, in my opinion, fentanyl, and the lack of the United States government of doing more about it. They're allowing hundreds of thousands of kids to die and not doing anything about it, along with child trafficking. They're not doing anything about it. And they're using our kids like they're garbage. And somebody, the way I used to fight for the mafia, now I fight politically. And I believe in people that know me. I believe in Donald Trump. I'm friendly with him. I go see him. I believe in his policies. He's a strong man. He believes in freedom, small government, business, opportunities. He kept the world safe. There was no conflicts what's going on today. So there's so many reasons that I follow somebody like him, and I believe in personal freedom for the people that want to do whatever they want to do with their life. It's their personal life as long as they're not hurting anybody. So I got involved in politics. I came here to Germany. I got involved with, in September, a magazine, Life magazine. And the CEO of the company is also Albanian, a gentleman. And we spoke about doing some future projects together. I have some TV shows that are out. I got a new series that hopefully will be out soon. We're working on a series about the Serbian Kosovo War, which is very obviously very dear to my heart. When I'm back in Kosovo, I go to those cemeteries, I see people, and I meet with generals and different people that fought. And in my heart, you can never forget that, and I try to remind people that the courage it took for each man to fight, the lives that were lost, the families, the children that were killed by Serbian soldiers. And people ask me, well, you hate all Serbians. I don't hate all Serbians. I just hate cowards. Whether Italian mafia cowards, whether they're Serbian cowards, when they take advantage of children and women, yeah, I have no respect for them. I respect courage. Courage, again, is, I did some interviews in Serbia. They didn't like what I had to say, so they didn't play those interviews because they didn't like what I had to say about Ramush. I said, you might not like him, I don't care, but you're not going to disrespect him and talk to me about him. Now, if you don't like that, I said it's too, and I was very verbal, too bad, excuse my language. But you're never going to disrespect him to me while you interview me. If you have something to say, you could talk to somebody from Serbia about him. But as far as I'm concerned, he represents Kosovo. He was a hero for Kosovo. And the people that forget that, they better remember they have lives and they have families still because of guys like him. So this is important to me for, you know, the character of a person is most important. So when I talk to these young guys that respect me or like me, I tell them, like me for my character, like me for what I do now, not for the violence I committed before. Whether they believe I had courage before, that's fine, but it was a bad way to live. If I can change my life for Albanians, I do a lot of TV, people that watch me on my Instagram, or they watch my TikTok, or they watch, I have a weekly show podcast. If I could change my life after everything I've been through, almost 20 years of years of solitary confinement. I spent 10 years never outside a yard in 10 years. If I can do that afterwards and change my life and do positive things, then you can have the courage also to do positive things. If I'm an example of being able to move your life forward in the right direction, things that happened back there, I can't change it. It's my life, I'll respect it. People are gonna ask questions about it, I'll answer those questions. But my life's about moving forward and doing things in a positive way, and that's politically now. I got involved in a political forum for the best of our country, for Albanians. And for the people who don't understand why I like Trump so much, you should know one thing, that I love our country. Then understand that I care the most for our country. I think people know I sacrifice and talk for our country enough to know that there's a reason why I like that man. Yeah, that we're a smart people, we're intelligent people, we're a hardworking people, we're family-oriented people. Don't take the shortcut. The shortcut's gonna make you ruin your life. Be smart, you don't have to be school educated. Find something that you like and be successful at it and be driven. And you can be successful. Don't be a quitter.